So you're planning your move to the Dominican Republic and you're trying to figure out your budget. Who do you listen to? Is it your friends, your family? Nah. Listen to me. What's up, everybody? My name is Jamie Gruber, and this channel is dedicated to sharing my experience of moving from the US to the Dominican Republic, which hopefully helps you if you're planning to make the move. Now listen, I speak mostly to families. I speak from the perspective I have. I'm an American married to a Dominican woman who was born here and moved at the age of 12 from here to the United States. So when I moved here, we had in-laws and other connections to the country, but we also come from a place where we made a decent living in the United States, and we had a standard of living we wanted to maintain for myself, my wife, and my kids moving here. Recently, I did this video sharing how it costs $51,487 for us to move from the US to the Dominican Republic. And I've also done other videos sharing how for a family of four in particular, living in a fairly developed area, be that Punta Cana, Santo Domingo, or some other places like that, how the budget is way more than most people think. It's $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, not $1,000 or $2,000 for a family of four. I've done reaction videos on a couple of creator friends of mine down here in the Dominican, Tommy Bryson and Abroad with Jay. Two great channels you should all go check out. And I've gotten the responses. And today I want to read some of them and explain to you why you should listen to this guy and not these people when it comes to the cost of living and the cost of moving for a family to the Dominican Republic. I do this in all my videos, I feel like, but let me be very clear. I'm not speaking to people who think in terms of budget mindset. I'm speaking to people who want to live a US middle class or better lifestyle down here, which some call luxury, but either way, that's the audience I speak to. And in particular, I share my experience, which is as a father of two young boys, almost 9, almost 6 as I record this, and a husband to an amazing woman. I'll throw a picture up here of her. You can see I outkicked my coverage a bit. But let's talk about some of these comments and I'll give you my take and you'll see why you need to trust this guy. So on my video about it costing $51,487 to move to the Dominican, dude, allow me to be your first negative comment. Let's go. You should change the title to $51K to move abroad to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Instead, get it right, my bro. I'm Dominican. I want to start there. I get a lot of this I'm Dominican. I don't quite get that when it comes to explaining to me how to live here. If you're Dominican and living here, sure. But I'm a New Yorker. I haven't lived in New York in over 20 years. So imagine me going to somebody living in Manhattan who's lived there for the past 5 years, even if they're from Kansas, and saying to them, no, I'm a New Yorker. I understand what it's like to live in New York right now. Now, this person did just move back to the Dominican, granted, but I get that from a lot of people. I know I'm Dominican. It's like, no, you know what it is to be Dominican. I don't. But in many of these cases, I know what it is to live in the Dominican, even if you feel like I'm in a bubble and you don't. It's my first red flag. I'm Dominican doesn't fly with me, unless you're living here and you're Dominican. I just came back from the US, and believe me, people spend a lot less money than you did. Unique and personal experience. Not hard feelings, love your videos, but seriously fix it with a smiley face. Well, first off, the last thing, like I don't do anything somebody tells me to do online. That's the New Yorker in me. So fix it, no. Second, Punta Cana is in the Dominican Republic last I checked. Can we pull up a map? Let's just see. I think right there. I think so. It's in the Dominican Republic. Third, and they're very different in other parts of the country. Let me explain. So the cost of the flight and the transportation could vary, but it's pretty fixed depending on where you're coming from. And in that video, I explain if you're coming from Miami versus Detroit, it might be less. A car, school tuition, insurance, $3,000 for insurance on the home I had in the States, car insurance, supplies and shipping, flying a couple dogs down here, buying groceries, preparing our home in the States to be a short-term rental, and school uniforms. Like, yeah, there might be some variance there. You may not need some of that stuff if you don't have kids and so on. You might pay less for school if you don't want a bilingual school. Granted, all of that. But I think what people are focused in on are these expenses: Airbnb, rent, and deposit. So we did an Airbnb for 2 months and it cost us $6,000. I heard things in the comments like, oh, you could get it for way less. Maybe, but consider this. My wife had never lived here as an adult, other than a year after college when she came down and she was this free spirit gallivanting around building houses for Habitat for Humanity. But she left at 12. She's returning as the mother with 2 kids and a husband in tow. And who do we go to for advice on the best places to live, the safest places to live, which was our core value, safety? We go to her family, all 78,000 of them. And you know what they said? 78,000 different things. So at a certain point, we had to rely only on reviews online online and our experience from afar. We didn't have the time or inclination to fly down and look around. We just said, let's get there and we'll rent a place. Either way, we saved on not coming down once to find a place, but we spent a little bit more maybe on the Airbnb by going into Cap Cana, which was widely regarded as one of the safest parts of the country. So yeah, we spent a little more, but that's context on why. But sure, let's cut it. You don't need that. No biggie. Instead, you're going to be a family of 4 living in Santo Domingo, and your rent on a house on a 3-bedroom home is going to be $2,000 instead of $4,000 a month, furnished. Cool. Cut the $4,000 to $2,000, take the deposit from $8,000 to $4,000, and lop off the $6,000. You're still in the $40,000 range. The implication in some of these comments, like the one we just had, is that, oh my God, you could do this for a quarter or less of the price. Sure, if you're single, no kids, or if you choose to live in a less expensive area, of course. But the cost of transportation, the cost of school tuition, and so on for those that follow me is probably going to be in line. Just depending on where you live is going to cut down on the rent or the mortgage cost. However, there are additional costs that I talked about that we didn't incur because of spending a little bit more on rent. For instance, we got 1 car because we decided to pay more for rent to live in an area that's walkable to our school, that I could work in the home, and that has amenities within walking distance like grocery stores and restaurants and so on. So you're going to do Santo Domingo or Santiago, and you're going to do it for less. Your living expense, your housing is going to be less, but you might need a second car. That's an expense we didn't have. So take away the additional cost of the deposit that I mentioned because I went to
Punta Cana. It's too high end. It costs so much money.
But I didn't have to buy a second car. Add that into your budget.
Or better yet, somebody tells me, oh, we got a 3-bed villa for $800 unfurnished.
Cool. Now go buy furniture for that thing. So let's check out this comment on that same video. I spent close to that moving here with 1 child. The difference is that I sold my house in Michigan. Another Michigan person moving down. Look at that. There's a migration happening. I also rented an unfurnished apartment out of fear that my child would destroy someone else's furniture, so I had to buy furniture, appliances, and even AC. That's something that's not mentioned here. The wall AC does not come with the house. That is an appliance you have to purchase if you're buying an unfurnished or renting an unfurnished place. Also, the first house we looked at to rent was way too nice for our kids. So we didn't rent that. We went with a place that we like. It's a beautiful home, but it was a little bit more worn, so our little boys wouldn't be destroying it, or if they did, we can clean it up and it wasn't as big a deal. So I feel you. Those things are expensive here. I spent at least $20,000. If I could go back, I probably would have done things differently. I also bought a brand new Honda CR-V. I put down $16,000 in cash and financed the rest with a line of credit through a U.S. credit union. I also put my daughter in private school, so I had to pay tuition, buy books, uniforms, etc. up front. Obviously, I paid for flights and luggage too, same as you. I had to buy groceries and household items, but I also had to buy bedding, towels, pillows, etc. We didn't have to buy all those things. Some, but not all. I'm sure there's something I'm missing since it's been 2 years and I don't remember everything, but yeah, I spent a lot too. I also bought insurance through Umano. We did too a year after we got here. There you go. So you get that unfurnished apartment or house for $600 a month, but you might spend $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $20,000 in furnishings and appliances. You see my point here. There's a narrative people like to push of it being inexpensive, and I'm going to share with you in a minute how one question from somebody who claimed a budget changed their budget just like that. Wait till you see this. It's literally, I asked one question and their budget changed. For some reason, people that live here and are encouraging you to come here, and we had this exact same thing.
Oh my God, it's so much cheaper. You can get a house for this, get a house for that.
They would send us listings, which we then saw were 2 years old for houses. All of this stuff that your family and friends want to promote to you, they're giving you the brass tacks best case for every bit of it.
Oh, this is only that, and this is only this.
But like this commenter said, and like I'm saying, these things add up. So the first person that commented saying like, oh, I did it for way less, I'm sure you did, but I guarantee you it was more than you even thought. They'll say no. We all have too much pride. Me too. I'm saying there's no way he's right. He's going to say there's no way I'm right. I found this comment I thought I would share with you. I am Dominican living in the United States. I agreed 100% with him. If you don't want to spend this amount of money, move to Friusa, Bavaro. 2 things. 1, when somebody agrees with me and points out that they're Dominican but doesn't live here, then I accept it. Just kidding. But 2, that comment is exactly right. If you want to live in a less expensive area, go for it. That's just not who I'm talking to. Okay, over on Instagram, I've got a great following, and there's a person that follows me that I've interacted with. She's amazing. I'm not going to share who she is. This is not a knock on anybody. None of this is. This is just sharing with you why it's hard to trust people that live here because they want to give you a best case scenario on budget, and I just don't think it's real. So here's evidence. I'm going to throw this up for you. I put up this story promoting my video saying that this guy lives for $695 a month, Tommy Bryson, amazing creator. The title says he lied. He didn't lie. I say it in the video, but got you to click, so. So she replied with this: my family of 3 budgets $1,200 a month in POP. That's Puerto Plata for the uninitiated. And I said this: amazing. That's fixed monthly or including variable expenses like medical, travel, clothing, date night, etc. I said, honest question, because I didn't want her to feel like I was attacking her. I find that even our own budget, I can report a nice number for fixed, but the variable stuff makes the real spend more, in some months much more. I don't love the if I just cooked at home and I don't go out budget thing, so I always ask, hope it's not too forward. She replied, our rent is 2-bed, 2-bath, $400. It includes electricity, Wi-Fi, and a maid on Fridays. Groceries and toiletries are $75 to $100 per week, depending on what we need. Insurance is $120 for the family plan, gasoline $30 per week, and the rest is date night and shopping. We are saving to purchase land, so we try to stay within budget. Awesome. That's great. I even gave her the little love icon there. But as a quick aside, so she's got a $400 a month apartment. She had to furnish that, so it's an expense she incurred up front. Just one thing I'm thinking about. Didn't think about when I responded to her, but with me not even saying anything more other than the question I asked before, watch what happens next. I guess when you factor in private school for one kid, we paid $2,000 for the year. That's not part of your $1,200 budget? I asked. School? She said, yeah, I forgot that we paid school for the year. So if you divide that into the year, it's about $165 a month. So that would be $1,365. But look what she says next. So now I'm going to change my number to $1,500 when people ask me. And she laughs about it, which I love. You know who you are if you're watching this. I love you. I appreciate you following and commenting with me. So think about what she just said. Okay, it's $1,200 a month. Well, actually it's $1,365 and I must be forgetting something else. So let's call it $1,500. Do you see what I mean by the creep, how it happens right away? One question, we went up $300 a month. Just like that. Don't believe your family and your friends. Don't. I'm not saying that because I don't know your family and friends. I know that we did that and we lost because of it. Let me put it this way to you. Let's say I'm wrong, and I hope I am. I am way high, way too high on the moving expense and the quoted cost to live monthly here. Let's just say I'm wrong. Cool. If you budget to it, you'll actually be in a great spot when you're actually below that. That is the classic of under promise, over deliver. I'm under promising a low budget, and if you spend less than what I say, then I'm over delivering, or you're over delivering on,
Hey, we were going to spend this, but we're only spending that.
now let's flip it around. These folks are right, and it's really cheap to live here. Then you get here, and it's actually a little more expensive, maybe just like this person admitted, because oops, I forgot that I pay for private school. And then if I pushed further, like, did you have to buy furniture and AC?
Oh, yeah. I had to do that up front, too.
Okay. Did this happen? Did that happen?
Yeah, that if I factor that in.
You see what I'm saying? I'd rather be budgeted high and come in under than budgeted low and come in over. Boy, that's a great selling point. That one should get all of you haters. Any haters out there, and there's none of you that are haters. I love all of you. But any haters out there that drop comments, that one has to get you. You got to admit I'm right on that one. Finishing this up, I said, hi, I told you. Thanks for your honesty. The video that I'm dropping today, the guy I react to does a great job of talking through his budget. That's Tommy. Like you, and then realizing additional annual expenses that stack up. But good for you for keeping expenses low. She said trying. Because here's the thing. $1,500 a month is still good. That's an amazing cost of living for a family with a kid. She's doing an amazing job. Now, if I had to really press her, I think it's probably more like 22, maybe 25, but even still, for a family to live on $2,500 a month, if you take annualized expenses and amortize it over the course of the year, it's really, really good. Not to keep beating this dead horse, but did she buy a car? Did she have a deposit she had to put down on her apartment? What about all that stuff? Is that included in this monthly budget? I don't know. Doesn't have to be, but at least factor for it as an upfront expense or a monthly expense, or do both. But either way, it's more than just $1,200 a month, and that's all I had to do. I moved here, and $1,200 a month times 12 months, what is that, like $14,400? That's it. That's all it cost me. It's like, well, no, maybe it cost you 30 grand to get there and then 14.4 for the first year. So let's factor that in. And then in the second year, there were some expenses that renewed again, like your insurance or whatever it might be. So you got to bump that into your annual expense line, which you might want to amortize over the course of the year and put it into your monthly budget. You get my point. It adds up. This question popped up. The big question is, can a couple live decent in Punta Cana like you do for $51,000 a year? How much do you actually need for a couple to live good in Punta Cana? It's a great question. If you're a couple without kids, you live in Cortacito, Los Corrales, you can live easily on $51,000 a year. I think you could do it for $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Live, not just exist. Go out, have a drink, go to dinner, do a date, travel around a little bit, go to Cabarete, go to Santo Domingo, have medical expenses pop up, $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Absolutely. You can live a very comfortable life as a couple. Kids are expensive, man. That's what it boils down to. They're expensive. especially if you want to put them in bilingual schools like we did. We didn't want the shock of going full Spanish, which if we could find one local to us, yeah, it'll be a lot cheaper. But for sure you can. This is not, I don't want people to get the impression that I'm saying there's no way that any person in any situation can live for less than $10,000 a month or $5,000 a month. It's not what I say. Family of 4 is going to be a lot more expensive than anything else. If you're single or a couple, it's going to be less expensive. I speak mostly to families. Then there's this comment. No way in hell I would move to a third world country to pay 4K USD rent. Neither would I. I moved to a developing nation, the Dominican Republic. This third world narrative, I think, exists on the other side of the border more. I understand that technically whatever, but if you haven't visited the Dominican Republic, and I'm not just talking about Punta Cana, overall, there's a lot more development here than you would imagine. To call it third world is a massive understatement. So just something for everybody to keep in mind. Kind of sick of that narrative. Here's one from my video where I reviewed Tommy Bryson's video about living for under $1,000 a month. You could definitely live in San Jose de Ocoa or some parts of El Cibao for $1,000 a month. Here's the kicker, without wife or kids, LOL. That's all I'm saying, without wife or kids. And again, can live versus wanting to live for that little are two very different things. Now here's a comment I get in some form that it just kills me, but let me address it real quick. So you think the average Dominican pays more than $200 USD for rent? Ha 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 ha. Listen, I speak English, not Spanish. My Spanish is getting a little better, but I'm not fully there yet. The people that I get this all the time, like
The average salary in the Dominican it's only $400 a month, and you're saying people can't live for less than that? Well, they do.
Let's be really, really clear on this. Those folks aren't watching this channel. 1, I'm not speaking to them. 2, do you understand the conditions that those folks are living in? This would be multi-generational home, no air conditioning, with multiple different incomes coming in from, say, husband, wife, mother, maybe even kid who can work. All of them are pooling together to make, say, $1,000 or $1,500 a month, but they live in a 2-bedroom apartment. Again, no air conditioning. It's $100, $150 a month US. They shop locally. Sure, they can live that way, and they do live that way, but they have to pool their resources. So counter to this is, well, you're saying you got to live for that. The average Dominican lives for this, so I'm more right that it's cheap to live here. Again, to my audience, are you going to move down here, live in a non-air conditioned 2-bedroom apartment with multiple generations in it, all trying to earn money so that you could pay for your monthly expenses? No. Like I said before, if I'm wrong, you win. If they're wrong, you lose. So you choose which one you want to go with. But I would tell you from experience, family, friends, the worst, the ones that live here, for giving you the reality of what it costs to live. And yes, I'm on the potentially higher end. Depending on who you are, I'm on the higher end. I get it. I don't think you have to budget to my number or you're wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, like, look at what I'm talking about. At least look at the line items and get a real estimate of what it would cost to move here. Look at what your monthly expenses are now and know that you're going to apply that here. And you do get more for the money. Don't get me wrong. The amount that you'll pay in rent or mortgage, if it's similar to what you have in the US, you'll get more for the money. A cleaning lady to work in your home and cook, clean, and do laundry for you over the course of a month is a few $100. It's an expense, but oh my God, what you get for that money. So it's better. I absolutely say the dollar goes further, but please don't act like you can do it for $1,200 a month as a family moving here, wanting to maintain a US middle-class style lifestyle. God, I'm getting fired up on this. This is another one that I got on the video that I reviewed of Tommy Bryson's. You can go back and watch it. I'll link it at the end, where he's a single guy saying he's living for under $1,000 a month. But in the video, if you watch it, he talks about like, with some variable expenses, it creeps up a little bit above $1,000. But this is a common comment I got. You actually missed the point, because you keep talking about family and he's talking about himself as a single man. The guy isn't lying because he's talking about his life in DR as a single man. Yes, it's possible to live there on $1,000 a month as a single man. Correct. And he wasn't lying. I put that in the title. I love this. This is where people just read like the headline or they read the title that I put on the video. He wasn't lying. I said that like in the first 20 seconds of the video. Like, he's not really lying. And Tommy and I talk. If anybody's upset, first of all, Tommy and Jay, I talked to both of them. We're all creators. We're going to be collaborating on some stuff. So everybody's got to chill out, or not everybody, sorry. So this dude needs to chill out. But on this point about, yes, he's a single guy. You're comparing apples to oranges. That was another comment. Yes, but the point I was making, if you watch the video, was, hey, listen, I speak for families. And too many families are saying, oh, we can move there and live for $1,000 or $2,000 a month. Well, let's look at this single guy living in a fairly low cost area who admits that $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month is actually a reasonable cost of living. He doesn't have a car. He uses his mom's car. He hasn't bought health insurance yet. There's things he even hasn't even paid for that he would have to budget in, that a family would absolutely need to do it. So the point of the video was, families, if this guy living in a $160 a month apartment is $1,000 or maybe a little bit more a month by just kind of living and being, and he's not an overspender, he's a very frugal guy, do you really think it's possible for a family to live for $1,000, $1,500 a month the way that you want to live? This is a fun video to make. I appreciate the comments, whether they dispute me or not. I want to make sure I set the record straight here, so I appreciate you all commenting and engaging as much as you do on the channel. Please drop a comment on this one. Let me know. Am I right? Am I wrong? Hit that like button and subscribe as well. And by the way, if you want to see that reaction video I did on Tommy Bryson's channel, first, check out his channel, but second, it's right here. I'll drop it here for you so you can take a look at it, and I'll see you on the next one.